swear it's hard to forgive them all, steady give them all. My heart, soul, blood, sweat, and tears don't applaud. I ain't even worthy of it, cause I know I'm flawed. Saying you not perfect, but I see that shit differently. The best thing to come along in an infinity. So much affinity, I put you on a pedestal. Didn't like it, so you shut it down like Trump did the federal. Look, I'm here to tell you though, always gonna lift you up. You seeing flaws, but I'm seeing vivid gifts and stuff. And you, I found heaven, El Dorado, and Shambhala. My peace when chips are down like a paralyzed Estrada. Sometimes I feel like Marvin, yeah, it make me wanna holler, cause these feelings hit me quicker than performing a lambada. I don't ever wanna lose you, want this here forever. If we both feeling flawed, then we should be good together. Let's roll. Father, forgive me for this hate in my heart. I swear it's hard to forgive them all.
Alright, alright, the last time I did a video, I know I said that one was going to be the last one, and in truth it was. And that's because I was very, very depressed. And I'm still depressed, but not as depressed as I was. I still feel in a dark place, but I'm trying to be optimistic, hold on to hope, you know, things like that. You know, right now, the main thing is I'm glad that a lot of my homies, excuse me, a little sick. Glad that a lot of my homies reached out to me, you know. There's one person in particular didn't reach out, but it's cool, you know. Either he wasn't on Facebook at the time or he just didn't care. But it is what it is. Thanks to Keith, Rob, Ed, and I know Trail, he didn't know what was going on at the time, but he called me, you know, and I guess in a sense it was like God sent him my way, because I definitely did end up feeling better when we talked. You know, he had me cracking up, because I thought I was going to be depressed, you know, pretty much all day. And, you know, like I said, I'm still depressed in a sense, but not in the way that it's overtaking my entire mood. You know, I'm still able to enjoy some things. There are some things that still kind of bring pain to the pit of my stomach. You know, but I guess the main thing I want to say is that with the last video, I said some things in it because, you know, I said some things in it I shouldn't have said. And I was in pain at the time, you know. And so I kind of just let it all out. I was just venting. But of course, the way I phrased things, the way I, you know, gave the narrative, however you want to put it, the way I put it, the way I put things did not, you know, bode well outside of YouTube. And honestly, what I realized is that there are things I do need to keep to myself, especially concerning me and people that I care deeply about. You know, I don't have to tell everything. But, you know, even with saying that, if I am hurt about something, I'm going to talk about the pain I'm in and how I feel. I won't go into details about what happened and what caused the pain, but I will talk about that. Because if I don't vent about at least how I'm feeling at the moment, I will explode, you know. And me and Keith, you know, we talked about this, you know, how, you know, us being artists, both in the, you know, drawing sense and the musical sense, and just being creative people at that, we're passionate. You know, things affect us way differently than they do everybody else. And I've always, you know, worn my heart on my sleeve. That's always been me. I mean, to be honest, in a sense, although I hate it, one of my friends, you know, kind of compared me to Kanye. You know, and I guess I am similar to him in that aspect, you know. We both have those, you know, strong, vivid emotions. You know, things hit us in such a way, you know, and sometimes when I do get into those moods and I feel a certain way, I get carried away. You know, you know, but it's because when I hurt, especially if it's somebody I truly care about, and whatever it is they did or said, it's going to make me hurt. Now, people I don't really care about like that, it don't affect me, you know, but somebody I have a bond with, yeah, that's going to be something that's going to, you know, hit me, you know, hella hard. It's going to have me down in the dumps. It's going to have me saying all kinds of stuff. But, the main thing I wanted to really talk about in this video is starting over. That's pretty much going to be the title. It might be restart or reboot. I don't know, right? But it's about starting over. You know, throughout the years and even throughout the months, you know, this year, I've talked to people about, you know, how things used to be between us. And there are some people who have just written it off as that, you know, times have changed, things are different, you know, they're working a whole lot. This is a male friend, by the way, that said this. And, you know, I don't see things in that sense, you know, because I know a whole lot of people that work a lot. But the one thing I can say is that when it comes to starting over and when it comes to trying to rejuvenate something, both people have to be into it. With other folks, like my ex Kyra, it was sometime earlier this year, she messaged me and she was sharing something with me. And it was talking about, you know, the orders of angels. And mostly the seraph, which she remembered me telling her about that angel. But anyway, the basis of her sending me that is that she missed us talking about stuff like that. You know, how I used to send her links and, you know, just explain stuff to her. And you know what? That meant a lot to me. You know, it touched my heart because, you know, me and her, we haven't talked in years. I mean, we still haven't talked on the phone because, you know, with her, she wants to meet up in person because, as she said, we have never seen each other. It's always been that we just talked on the phone, text each other, talked on Uvu and one time on Skype, you know, but nothing else. But she doesn't want to do any FaceTime. She wants to do real FaceTime. So I told her, you know, one of these days we will meet up. You know, I'm still debating on it, you know, of course, because like I said, we never seen each other. You know, we walked past each other in the store one time and I didn't know it. She told me later that she had walked past me. Said she walked past me 3 or 4 times. I didn't even know it because I was standing up there talking to Ronald. And I noticed a girl was going by, but I did not notice it was Kyra. So, you know, but, you know, she wants to meet up, have brunch or something like that, you know, so, you know, but I appreciate that offer, you know, and I appreciate that she wants to build back, you know, what we used to have as friends, because we were really, really good friends, you know, despite the way our relationship went, you know, and other stuff, and even issues that happened while I was in my last relationship. Her and I still have always been good friends, you know, and like I said, you have to give people their time, I guess, to really realize what they miss about you or whether they miss you at all, you know. I guess as a saying goes, how can we miss you if you don't go away? And that brings me to the next point. You know, again, I'm not trying to talk about anything that's too personal, but I'm just giving my side of things with this. I've been saying in my past videos that I wanted to start from the beginning with my ex. You know, not in a relationship, although that is something I have been praying for, but I know that that's not what she wants. But the situation about starting back as friends, you know, we tried it and for some reason it didn't go right. And there was something she said to me though, that at the time I kind of, you know, I guess it went in one ear and out the other. Well, not really in the ear, but, you know, I read it and I kind of just blew it off at the time. But she had said, we'll never be like we used to be. And you know what? That's true. We won't. But I found some hope in that. Because while we won't be like what we used to be, we can be better than that. You know, we can take the ashes of what was and make something new. You know, that's how I feel. But I feel that way with anybody. Not just, you know, her. When it comes to repairing friendships with anybody I know, you know, I feel like we should build back from, you know, we should build something very, you know, we should build something new. You know, we should start from scratch. You know, of course, things are never going to be the way that they used to be because people change. But if we're both willing to be friends again, you know, then we can meet in the middle. And like I said, just get to know each other all over again. Because honestly, when I talk to Dontrell, even though that's, like I said, been my best friend for years, you know, there are a lot of things that have changed about him as well as about me. And we often laugh about those changes because we be like, you know, years ago, neither one of us would have been like this. But things change. People change you. Situations change you. You know, I'm pretty sure a lot of his changes came from, well, not pretty sure, but I know some of his changes came from him getting married, then him being in the Navy because, you know, he met a lot of people there and learned a lot of things while being there. And then also with the school he's been going to, he's learned a lot of things there. And that has also changed, you know, his perspective on things. Because, you know, we actually talked about politics for a good little minute. And, you know, and it was something that he didn't really pay that much attention to at first. Like, I mean, he paid attention, but he didn't really care to vote. But he told me, he said that all changed, you know, after I think it was one of his instructors explained some stuff to him. And that's what made him see politics different. Whatever, no matter what it took, I'm just glad that, you know, he got to that point. And that we can have those discussions without, you know, an argument happening. Because that's what happened, you know, in the past. We would argue as far as, you know, politics went. And it's because it was something at the time that he just didn't really concern himself with, you know. But now, you know, realizing how things are and with the stakes being what they are, you know, because we both agreed that neither one of us wanted to vote for Biden, but we did it. It was a, you know, lesser of two evils type of thing. The same thing people were going to do when it came to Hillary and Trump. You know, but a lot more of us definitely didn't want to vote for Hillary. You know, so more people decided to vote for Biden this time because we didn't want Trump to get back in there. The way I'm thinking about it now, though, is that maybe we should have let Trump get back in there so that way he wouldn't have been able to run ever again. Because now, with the fact that Biden's approval rating has dropped and everything, you know, I don't see where he might, you know, be victorious in 2024. But again, this is just speculation right now, and this is just going off of things as they are. You know, I know one thing is it's going to be hard for Biden to get the black vote because he still hasn't done anything for us. He's done things for everybody else. I mean, the migrants got something before we could. And we've been asking for reparations and all kinds of stuff for years. It's the main thing we were demanding out of him during the election, out of him and Kamala. And Kamala straight up said that she wasn't going to do anything for black people. You know, I want to mimic what she said, but I'm going to leave it alone. But anyway, you know, no. Anyway, okay. But yeah, that's what, you know, she said she was not going to do anything that would only benefit black people. And that lost, you know, her a lot of supporters, you know, from our side. Because, you know, if you're not going to do anything that would be solely for us, we don't want you. Now, there are some black people who don't care about that. And they be like, well, we aren't the only people in America. Yeah, we aren't. But at the same time, we have always been forced to take a back seat, to be pushed down to the bottom while everybody else gets shit done for them. You know, Hispanics, Asians, Middle Easterners, whoever. They do stuff for everybody else before they do anything for African Americans. You know, or as both sides have been preferring to call ourselves, ADOS and FBA. I side with ADOS, but you know, there are things that Tariq Nasheed says that I agree with, you know, here and there. So, you know, I mean, they'll even do stuff sometimes for certain Africans before they will for, you know, African Americans. But anyway, that really wasn't supposed to be my topic. That was kind of like me going off on a tangent. But that brings me right back around to the whole thing about starting over. I find it impossible for Biden to repair his, you know, current standing with us. Because, I mean, he was already, you know, full of shit to us in the beginning. But a lot of people decided to go ahead and vote. But with the fact that he has just been kind of looking over everything we've asked for, and not just him, just the Democrats in general, you know, because we know the Republicans ain't gonna do shit that we want. You know, they be wanting our vote, but then when we tell them what we asking for, you know, they don't want the vote then. Now, Trump lied some years ago saying that he was going to try to get us reparations, and I believe that shit. You know, foolish me. You know, it was very foolish of me. I really did think that he would make that happen. But what really, I guess, got me about that is that Trump actually came out and said it. Whereas all the Democratic candidates, whenever you ask them, they have to change the subject, or they get the stuttering, they get the stammering, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. Like, it's a simple answer. Are you for reparations? Yes or no? And are you going to make sure you make it happen for us? You know, but they don't want to say that. Because the one thing a lot of them realize is that they got to maintain their vote with, you know, middle white America. And even middle America, some of the black people that seem to forget that they black, you know, they think they just like the white folks. They got to maintain their vote with those people. Because the minute they start saying, well, we're going to do this for black people and we're going to do that for black people, well, they start losing those votes and people decide to go over to the Republican side. And that's when you realize a lot of those people that claim they were Democrats never really were. They were center. That's what they were. And that's why it didn't take nothing but a little tiny push for them to go over to the other side, because they believe, you know, they constantly complaining about socialism and the big bad boogeyman that is CRT. And, you know, all of a sudden, you know, they have these big ass issues with BLM. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I don't like the founders of BLM, but people who choose to be involved in that movement, they have nothing to do with what the founders did. So we have to learn to separate, you know, people who follow the ideology from the people who started it. Now, this is an argument that could probably be flipped, and people will say, well, you can do the same thing to Nazis. No, you can't, because that is not an ideology that anybody needs to respect. You know, Black Lives Matter, you know what that is about. There's nothing harmful about it. Are there people who are in it that go around, you know, doing nonsense and causing, you know, ruckus? Yeah. But those people don't represent the movement as a whole. And actually, most of the time when they've showed people out there doing the BLM protests and marches, it was mostly Antifa people. I just have to be honest. It was Antifa people going around breaking shit, you know, throwing stuff at people. You might have saw a few black people joining in with them. And those black people might have not even been BLM protesters. They might have been Antifa too. You know, I'm not trying to make Antifa an enemy, but what I'm saying is that when their shit gets compacted with ours, it fucks up the whole groove. It fucks up the whole vibe. And I watched those videos. I saw what happened. And you could also say that some people who went out there and might have had on a BLM shirt might have not even been down with it. They might have been Republicans or, you know, outright people, which they actually did reveal that some people out there that were causing, you know, terror and damage and shit were cops. You know, this was verified. But, again, like I said, you know, I've gone off to another A-side, you know, another tangent. But like I said, you know, the main thing I want to talk about is, like I said, starting over. That's the main thing this whole video is supposed to be about. Starting over, you know. Things will never be like they used to be. Like with me in music, I will never be fine print again, no matter how hard I try. You know, I be looking for that love, that passion I had as fine print. And I still have a passion for music, but I got to rediscover it in a different way. I got to start from scratch, like for real. I got to, in the words of Biden, build back better. You know, I gotta start over, because things will never be like they used to be. You know, I realized that when I go to try to watch old cartoons and movies that I, you know, loved as a kid and even as a teen. But I try to watch them now and I'm like, how did I ever love this? You know, I barely even like it. You know, or I can't get into it, or you start seeing this and that issue. You know, and I feel like when it comes to trying to restart a friendship, you know, when it comes to trying to rekindle love or something, it's, you know, it's a bad move, a bad start to try to start with how things used to be. I mean, you can use that as a backdrop. You know, you can remember that this used to be like that. And then you can take from what used to be and look at how things are. And I guess you can kind of make a comparison. But you'll always know that things will never go back to how it used to be. So what you need to try to do is find the good things about now. You know, the common ground you and that person can meet on. You know, what y'all have in common. You know, what y'all have in common now. You know, y'all can discuss the ways you both have changed. You know, because, I mean, I've done that with a lot of people recently. I mean, when me and Sakina got back in touch, you know, because for a while she was reluctant to be friends again, you know. But we finally got back to how we used to be. And here and there, we still have a few issues, a few hiccups. But the one thing I love is that when we do get into it, she is always so happy that we don't delete each other or anything like that. Because that's what used to happen in the past. Either she would delete me or I would delete her. Or we'd probably go like a whole 2-3 weeks without talking. Usually it'd be that we'll be mad at each other for like, you know, a couple hours. And then, you know, she'll probably hit me up with something. Or, you know, I'll apologize to her. Because maybe I realized that, you know what I said, I shouldn't have said it. I was wrong. You know, she was right. But at least with that, we're better than we used to be. And that's what has made her, you know, my best friend again. Because I remember last time I made a post. And I was talking about a character I made that's based on her. And she felt some type of way because all I referred to her as in the post is my ex. She was like, you know, I'm more than your ex. And I was like, well, yeah, true. I was like, you're my best friend. So I had to go and edit the post, you know, and add that she was my ex/best friend. Because at the time I was trying not to say her name, you know, or whatever. Because I usually just refer to her in that type of way, you know. But, you know, I went and corrected that, and that made her feel much better, you know. But that made me feel good, too, that the friendship that we have and that we were able to restart and build from, you know, the apology I made. Because I wrote her a long-ass message when I apologized. I mean, I sent her one. I sent one to Duntrail, Ronald. I remember sending one to Draco. And me and Draco actually tried. But, you know, he can't get over what happened years ago. I mean, that was 11 years ago. 11 years ago. And he is still holding a grudge over it. You know, despite me apologizing and saying, you know, how I realized that some things I said and did in the past were wrong. I mean, what he's holding a grudge over isn't even the stuff I apologized about, to be honest. He's holding a grudge over something else, you know. And I think it's just gonna stay that way, you know. I mean, I don't want it to be that way. I oftentimes wish that we could go back to the friendship that we had, you know, or not even that we had, but just go back to being friends. Because again, like I said, things will never be the same. But that was one of those things where, you know, his anger was still getting in the way. Because, like, I remember hitting him up and he just copped the attitude with me. And I was like, we talked, you know, we had talked on the phone the night before. We was laughing and joking. Like, I even had told him about Janae at the time because Janae and I were still together. And he was like, man, don't fuck that up. Yeah. Safe to say I did, dude. I fucked it up. Hit the best woman. You know, most beautiful woman. Always been that way to me. You know, for years, ever since 2010. When the first time I saw her. And I just knew there was something about her. She was special. As I've always told her, she's the one that got away. And when I thought I finally had her back, you know, I wasn't ready for somebody of her caliber. I realized that. You know, I got in that relationship and I got careless. Because I guess I was looking at the fact of how, you know, she loved me. She cared about me. It was unconditional. You know, she didn't require much. And that made me get content and get comfortable. And after a while, I stopped doing what I should have been doing. You know, and I messed up a few times. You know, or more than a few times. Then with my bipolar disorder and my anger issues, that caused some problems too. Which is something else I'm still working on my own. But I really hate that I messed things up. Because she is, and, you know, will always be the one, you know. And, you know, I just remember when that feeling was reciprocated, you know, and constantly trying to bring up what happened in the past, I realized that's going to always cause issues. But I guess because one of the reasons why I still bring it up is because it's still fresh in a sense. You know, it was just last year that we broke up, but our problems have been going on way before then. And I tried to ignore them because I just always thought that we gonna get through it. She not gonna leave me. And that was foolish of me, you know. That was just the way I always felt about it. That was my fault. I did not try hard enough, you know. Because I can't sit up here and act like she didn't tell me she was having issues, you know, with certain things from me. You know, she had told me that a lot, just to be completely honest. You know, and I hope if she watches this, she doesn't get mad about me saying that, because I'm not trying to make her look any type of way. What I'm saying about myself is that I pretty much ignored that. I shouldn't have. I should have been, you know, I should have been working in to make things better. But I gave her my word, and I did attempt. And then it seemed like after, you know, doing a little something, I felt like things was okay. And that's when I just went back and just got lax. I got lazy. That laziness and whatnot is one of the nails that went into the coffin. Now, there are other things that I am not at liberty to discuss, but I will discuss that because that is something that solely deals with a decision of mine and what I did wrong. And I hurt more based off the fact that I know I fucked up, that I know that I should have done things when I was asked to do them. Because, you know, when I decided to try to do something, it was too late. She had dumped me. And, you know, R. Kelly said this, you know, in the 90s, you know, when a woman's fed up, and it's too late to talk about it. But man, I won't stop having, you know, hopes and aspirations that things can be fixed, you know. I'm not trying to force anything on her, because I'm sure that's what it sounds like by me constantly saying this. But, you know, there is a feeling inside of me. And maybe it's a misguided feeling. But I just feel that something is still there. And that it's just going to take a whole lot of me working on myself, doing things much differently, giving her her space, you know, for that to even be looked at. Because I do feel something is still there. You know, the one thing I can say that I appreciate and respect is that she does still let me express how I feel and how I still love her. Even if the feelings are not, you know, mutual. She still cares enough and is considerate enough to let me say, you know, how I feel, to let me make my plea, you know, because she could honestly say, I don't want you to say anything to me at all, you know, but she still takes the time out to send me how she feels too. And that is the only reason why I am holding on to hope. It's not really a thing of her giving me some type of sign, because I'm looking at her words. I'm seeing what she's saying. And I understand that. I understand everything, you know. But it's just me, and maybe it's stubborn of me and selfish, you know, of me to not let her go. But I mean, technically, I have let her go. I couldn't force her to stay with me as much as I wanted to. I really didn't want her to leave me. But I had to, because she had to do what she had to do. She had to do what she had to do for her to feel better. So, you know, this video really wasn't supposed to be long, but here I am about to hit 29 minutes because I get up here and I talk. But doing these vlogs, saying how I feel, you know, all of that is You know, it's good for my soul, you know. But I do have to watch what I do say and what I do talk about, because I do not want to disrespect, you know, or cross any boundaries, you know, which is something I talked about in a previous video, you know, having boundaries. Boundaries exist in all kinds of ways. And so I have to make sure I do respect those boundaries and not say anything, you know, off color, you know, off color. I forgot how it goes. I think I said that wrong. I have to make sure I don't say anything that's offensive and that paints her in a bad light, or just anybody in a bad light. But I'm mainly talking about, you know, the woman I love. I don't want her to feel like I'm trying to put her in some type of box and have people looking at her like a villain. You know, I'm the villain. She's just acting, you know, accordingly to what I did. I'm trying to have a change of heart. Right now, I'm Alice and Batwoman. You know, or if I had to think of another bad guy that eventually became good, I guess I could say I'm Captain Cold right now. I don't know. There's a lot of different, you know, references I could use. But I've been the bad guy and I'm trying to be the good guy. So, that being said, here's to starting over. Peace.
Swear it's hard to forgive them all, steady give them all. My heart, soul, blood, sweat, and tears don't applaud. I ain't even worthy of it, cause I know I'm flawed. Father, forgive me for this hate in my heart. I swear it's hard to forgive them all, steady give them all. My heart, soul, blood, sweat, and tears don't applaud. I ain't even worthy of it, cause I know I'm flawed. Breathe and let me rise on into the sky. Just let me feel, oh yeah.